You wake up in medieval Europe and you're starving, not the I skipped breakfast kind of hungry, the real, gnawing, I haven't eaten in 2 days kind that makes your stomach feel like it's trying to digest itself. You stumble through the monastery garden, desperate for anything edible, and then you see them, clusters of ivory white roots jutting from the earth like nature's own treasure chest. You grab one, brush off the dirt, and take a bite. Holy sweetness. It's like someone crossed a carrot with candy and threw in a hint of vanilla. This isn't just food, this is salvation wrapped in a root. You've just discovered skirt, the medieval crop that emperors demanded as tribute. Monks cultivated in sacred gardens, and entire civilizations built their diets around. And here's the kicker, it's better than potatoes in almost every way that matters. Yet today, you can't even buy it at Whole Foods. Welcome to the most tragic food story in human history. This is the rise and fall of skirt, the forgotten superstar that should be sitting in your kitchen right now instead of gathering dust in history books. Chapter 1. Born from Ancient Dreams. You are skirt, and you begin your journey to European conquest in the mountains of China, somewhere around 2,000 years ago. You're not trying to take over the world, you're just doing what comes naturally, growing in clusters of sweet white roots along stream banks, minding your own business, being absolutely delicious. But humans notice you. Of course they do. You're literally sugar growing in the ground before sugar was even a thing in most of the world. Your very name, when it eventually reaches Germanic tribes, will become Suikerwurtel, sugar root. That's not marketing speak. That's literal truth. You taste like someone took the best parts of a carrot and a parsnip, had them fall in love, and their baby was kissed by vanilla. Raw, you're sweet and crunchy, perfect for munching straight from the earth. Cooked, you become tender and intensely sweet, like nature's candy that somehow also fills you up. Chinese farmers figure this out fast. They start cultivating you deliberately, not just foraging your wild cousins. You're perennial, which means once planted, you keep producing year after year. No replanting, no constant seeding. Just dig, divide, replant some roots, and boom, infinite food supply. You're also packed with nutrients that won't be properly understood for centuries. Fiber that keeps digestive systems running smoothly, vitamin C that prevents scurvy long before anyone knows what scurvy is, potassium for heart health that medieval doctors will attribute to mysterious humoral balance, antioxidants that fight diseases no one has names for yet. But your real superpower isn't just nutrition, it's agricultural resilience. Your deep root system finds water other plants can't reach, making you drought-resistant in ways that will matter desperately during medieval famines. Bugs largely ignore you because you're in the carrot family, and your natural compounds repel most pests. Diseases that devastate grain crops barely touch you. You're the agricultural equivalent of a Nokia phone, practically indestructible. Even better, you improve the soil around you. Your roots break up hard clay, create channels for water drainage, and when they decompose, they add organic matter that feeds other plants. Medieval farmers don't understand soil science, but they notice that crops grown after you always seem healthier and more productive. The trade routes notice. Silk Road merchants start carrying your seeds westward. You're not just food, you're medicine. Chinese herbalists use you for everything from digestive issues to fertility problems. You're a walking pharmacy wrapped in a vegetable, and then, sometime during the rise of the Roman Empire, you make the jump that changes everything. You arrive in Europe. Chapter 2. Conquering an Empire. You are skirt in Roman times, and you're about to become the favorite food of the most powerful man in the world. Emperor Tiberius tastes you once and loses his mind. This is a guy who can literally have anything on the planet brought to his table. Exotic fruits from Africa, spices from India, the finest wines from across the Mediterranean. But he wants you. He doesn't just want you, he demands you. He makes growing you part of the tribute that Germanic tribes must pay to Rome. Imagine being so delicious that an emperor forces entire regions to grow you as tax payment. That's not just good food, that's world-changing food. Picture this: Germanic chieftains standing before Roman officials, offering chests of gold, fine furs, amber jewelry, and being told, "That's nice, but where are the skirret roots?" Your value becomes so legendary that Roman poets write about you. Wealthy Romans serve you at elaborate banquets, often prepared with honey, wine, and exotic spices imported from the far reaches of the empire. You become a status symbol. Not just anyone can afford to cultivate acres of a crop that takes patience and skill to grow properly. Roman agricultural writers start documenting your cultivation requirements like state secrets: the perfect soil moisture, the ideal planting depth, the precise timing for root division. The Roman agricultural writers take notice. Pliny the Elder mentions you specifically in his natural history, calling you Caesar. Roman gardeners start cultivating you across the empire. You love the Mediterranean climate, but you're adaptable. You grow well in the cooler, wetter climates of Northern Europe too. When Roman legions march across Europe, you march with them. Not just as food, but as agricultural revolution. Roman soldiers don't just conquer territories, they teach conquered peoples how to grow you. It's cultural imperialism through vegetables. You establish yourself in Britain around 43 AD when Emperor Claudius launches the Roman invasion. British Celts, who have been surviving on whatever they can forage and basic grains, suddenly have access to a crop that produces abundant, sweet, nutritious food with minimal effort. Roman agricultural manuals spread your cultivation techniques across the empire. Romans figure out that you prefer moist, well-drained soil, that you need to be watered consistently, or your roots become woody and unpalatable, that dividing your root clusters produces more plants faster than growing from seed. By the fall of the Roman Empire, you're established across Europe as a fundamental food crop. The collapse of Roman infrastructure doesn't destroy you like it destroys other crops. You don't need complex irrigation systems or specialized knowledge. You're perennial. So even if people forget to plant new crops during chaotic times, you keep producing. As Europe enters what historians will call the Dark Ages, you become one of the bright spots keeping people alive. Chapter 3. The Monastery Gardens. You are skirret in medieval Europe, and you're about to become holy. The year is around 800 AD, and Benedictine monks are looking for crops that embody the values of their order: reliable, productive, and simple to maintain. You're practically designed for monastic life. Monasteries become your headquarters. These aren't just religious communities, they're agricultural research centers. Monks have time, education, and most importantly, written records. They document your growth patterns, cultivation techniques, and uses in ways that preserve your knowledge through the chaos of medieval times. The famous monasteries of Europe, Cluny, Citeaux, Monte Cassino, all have you growing in their gardens. You're not decorative, you're essential. Monks eat you during Lent when meat is forbidden. Your sweetness provides crucial calories during fasting periods. Your long storage life means communities can eat you all winter when other fresh foods disappear. The monastery manuscripts preserve your cultivation secrets. How to divide your root clusters in early spring. How to harvest the largest roots while leaving smaller ones to multiply. How to store you in cool, sandy cellars through winter. Knowledge that would otherwise be lost gets written down in elaborate, illuminated texts. Medieval medical texts document your healing properties. Hildegard of Bingen, the famous Benedictine abbess and medical writer, prescribes you for digestive problems and even as a topical treatment for facial skin issues. But you're not just monastery food. Your reputation spreads to the secular world. Medieval nobles start demanding you at their tables. You appear in The Form of Cury, one of the earliest English cookbooks, written by the master cooks of King Richard II around 1390. By the Tudor period, you've reached peak fame. King Henry VIII's kitchen servants know exactly how to prepare you. John Worledge, a 17th century agricultural writer, calls you the sweetest, whitest, and most pleasant of roots. This isn't hyperbole, this is professional food opinion from someone who's tasted everything available. Medieval cookbook writers developed dozens of recipes for you. Skirret pie, your roots baked with meat, spices, and other vegetables and pastry. Skirret fritters, your sliced roots fried in batter and served hot with honey. Skirret milk, your cooked roots pureed with cream and exotic spices, then baked with eggs and nutmeg into a dish that's part pudding, part casserole. You appear in the royal kitchens of England, France, and the Holy Roman Empire. Kitchen scribes record elaborate preparation methods, how to clean your delicate roots without damaging them, how to remove the occasional woody core without wasting the sweet flesh, how to store you through winter in sand-filled cellars. The wealthy start competing over who can serve the most creative skirret dishes. Candied skirret roots glazed with honey and spices. Skirret wine, where your sweetness ferments into an alcoholic delicacy. Skirret preserves that keep your flavor available year-round. You're not peasant food anymore. You're gourmet cuisine that defines sophistication. As the medieval period reaches its height, you're so common that people take you for granted. Every manor house garden has you. Every monastery grows you. Every cookbook includes you. You've become as fundamental to European cuisine as bread or ale, which makes what happens next even more tragic. Chapter 4. The invasion that changed everything. You are Skirret in the year 1570, and you have no idea you're about to be murdered by a vegetable from South America. The potato has just arrived in Europe, and it looks innocent enough. Lumpy, brown, kind of ugly. Nothing like your elegant white roots. You figure it's just another novelty crop that will fade away. You're so wrong it hurts. At first, Europeans are suspicious of potatoes. They belong to the nightshade family, which includes poisonous plants. People literally think potatoes might kill them. Some blame potatoes for leprosy. Others think they cause sexual immorality because they grow underground like the devil's food. You watch this potato paranoia with smug satisfaction. Europeans trust you. You've been feeding them for over 1,000 years. You're not some weird foreign import. You're family. But potatoes have advantages you never considered. They're absolutely, ridiculously productive. An acre of potatoes can produce 3 times the calories of an acre of grain. More importantly for European farmers, they can produce way more calories than an acre of you. Your roots are delicious, but they're thin, about pencil thickness and 6 to 8 inches long. A mature plant might give a farmer a pound of food after a full growing season. Potatoes can produce 10 pounds or more per plant. The math is brutal. European populations are exploding. Cities are growing. There's pressure to feed more people with less land. Potatoes solve this problem in ways you simply can't match. A single potato field can feed a family for months. Your elegant little roots, no matter how sweet and nutritious, just can't compete with that raw caloric power. The economics are devastating. A farmer can harvest 200 bushels of potatoes per acre versus maybe 50 bushels of your delicate roots. When you're trying to feed a growing family on a small plot of land, that math isn't just compelling, it's survival. Worse, potatoes store better. Your roots last a few months in perfect conditions before they start sprouting or rotting. Potatoes can last most of a winter in a simple root cellar. For families facing the constant threat of starvation, storage life matters more than flavor complexity. The preparation differences doom you further. Potatoes are simple. Dig them up, scrub off dirt, throw them in a pot, boil for 20 minutes. Done. You require more delicate handling. Your thin roots need careful cleaning. Your wrinkled skin holds dirt that requires scrubbing. Some of your roots develop woody cores that have to be removed. For peasant families working from dawn to dusk just to survive, 20 minutes of potato prep versus an hour of skirret prep isn't even a choice. Potatoes win by pure convenience. The cultural momentum shifts slowly, then suddenly. Cookbook writers start featuring potato recipes. Agricultural manuals begin recommending potatoes for large-scale cultivation. Seed merchants reduce their skirret inventory to make room for potato varieties. The final blow comes from sugar. Europeans discover sugarcane from the Caribbean, and suddenly your biggest selling point, natural sweetness, becomes irrelevant. Your nickname sugar root goes from marketing advantage to historical curiosity. By 1650, potato cultivation dominates European agriculture. Farmers who once dedicated significant garden space to you now plant maybe a small patch for nostalgia. Seed suppliers stop carrying you altogether. Cookbook writers forget you exist. The speed of your disappearance shocks even historians. Crops that were fundamental to European cuisine for over 1,000 years vanish so completely that most people forget they ever existed. You become a footnote in agricultural history books. This isn't just about food fashion. This is about biodiversity catastrophe. Europe loses not just a crop, but an entire agricultural tradition. The resilience that comes from diverse food systems gets replaced by dangerous dependence on a single crop. Chapter 5. The Lost World of Flavor. You are Skirt in the modern world, and you're a ghost haunting specialty seed catalogs. The vast majority of humans have never heard your name, let alone tasted you. You've become so rare that finding you requires searching specialty heirloom seed companies. But here's what really hurts. You're objectively better than potatoes in almost every way that matters for modern life. You're perennial, which means planting you once provides years of harvests. Modern sustainability experts are desperate for exactly this kind of low-input, high-output crop. You're naturally drought-tolerant. Your deep root system actually improves soil health. You're also more nutritious than potatoes in key areas. Higher fiber content means better digestive health and more stable blood sugar. More complex carbohydrates provide sustained energy instead of potato-style blood sugar spikes. Your vitamin C content matches or exceeds potatoes. The flavor difference isn't even close. Potatoes are fine. Starchy, mild, mostly useful as vehicles for butter and salt. You're sweet, complex, with hints of vanilla and spice that make you interesting to eat plain. Raw, you're like nature's candy. Cooked, you're like premium root vegetables with built-in seasoning. Modern chefs who discover you lose their minds. Dan Barber, one of America's most innovative farm-to-table chefs, writes about you like you're culinary gold. European chefs working with heritage ingredients pay premium prices for your rare seeds. But growing you commercially is nearly impossible. You don't fit modern agricultural systems designed around annual crops. Your thin, delicate roots don't ship well compared to hardy potatoes. Your preparation requirements don't work for fast food kitchens optimized for speed. Most tragically, the seed varieties that medieval farmers spent generations perfecting are gone forever. Modern Skirt seeds come from a tiny genetic base. The medieval varieties bred for different climates, soil types, and culinary uses represent lost agricultural knowledge that took centuries to develop. Contemporary gardening enthusiasts who grow you become instant evangelists. Internet forums dedicated to unusual vegetables overflow with praise for your flavor and ease of cultivation. Permaculture designers recommend you as ideal for food forest systems. Homesteaders love that you're essentially zero maintenance once established. Modern plant breeders who encounter you start getting excited about possibilities. Your genetic diversity, even from the limited remaining varieties, shows potential for improvement that could make you commercially viable again. Imagine Skirt bred for larger, more uniform roots, varieties selected for different climates and soil types, cultivars chosen specifically for sweetness or storage life. Some experimental farms are already working on this. Small-scale breeding programs selecting the best plants from each generation. Farmers documenting which varieties perform best in different conditions. Seed savers carefully maintaining genetic lines that represent centuries of agricultural heritage. But the work proceeds slowly, underfunded and largely ignored by agricultural universities focused on commodity crops like corn and soybeans. The expertise needed to properly breed you exists, but it's scattered among hobbyists and heritage seed enthusiasts rather than concentrated in well-funded research programs. But you remain trapped in a cruel cycle. You can't become mainstream because people don't know you exist. People can't know you exist because you're not mainstream. The very problems you could help solve, unsustainable agriculture, nutrition deficiencies, climate change adaptation, get worse while you remain forgotten. Food historians studying medieval cuisine find recipes for you in manuscript after manuscript. You were everywhere. You mattered. All of this knowledge, gone, replaced by potato cultivation guides and French fry recipes. Chapter 6. The comeback that should have been you are skirt in 2025, and you're experiencing the strangest phenomenon. People are finally starting to remember you exist. Not many people, not enough people, but slowly, quietly, food historians and adventurous gardeners are rediscovering what medieval Europeans knew centuries ago. You're absolutely fantastic. The modern food movement that should have rescued you decades ago is finally catching up. Chefs obsessed with unusual ingredients stumble across mentions of you in historical cookbooks and become fascinated. Sustainability advocates researching perennial crops find you and realize you're exactly what modern agriculture needs. A few specialty seed companies now carry you, though getting seeds still requires knowing where to look. Experimental Farm Network lists you in their catalog. European heritage seed companies like Real Seeds in Wales have made you a signature crop, but you're still rare enough that most gardening centers have never heard of you. But something's changing. Climate change is making farmers nervous about crop diversity. The COVID-19 pandemic reminded everyone how fragile food supply chains can be. Suddenly, crops like you that build soil health, require minimal inputs, and provide nutritional security start looking like solutions instead of curiosities. The home gardening revolution sparked by the pandemic created opportunities you haven't had in centuries. People stuck at home started growing food again. YouTube videos teaching heritage vegetable cultivation get millions of views. You're perfect for this moment. You're perennial, so new gardeners don't have to replant you every year. You're low maintenance, so busy people can grow you successfully. You're unusual enough to feel special, but not so weird that people won't try eating you. But you're still trapped by infrastructure designed around industrial agriculture. Grocery stores want vegetables that ship well, store long, and look familiar to customers. Home gardeners want seeds they can buy locally instead of ordering online from specialty companies. Food historians organizing medieval feast dinners report that you're always the revelation. People try you expecting something weird or challenging and discover you're simply delicious. Sweet, complex, satisfying in ways that make them wonder why they've never heard of you before. That wondering is the beginning of change. Every person who tastes you and asks, "Why don't we grow this anymore?" is someone who might start growing you. Every gardener who discovers how easy you are to cultivate is someone who might share seeds with neighbors. The movement to restore you won't happen through corporate agriculture or government policy. It's happening through individual choices by people who believe food should be about more than maximum efficiency. Epilogue. The future. We could still choose you, our skirt, and you're waiting in the few remaining seed banks and specialty gardens, hoping someone will remember what medieval Europeans understood. Food should be delicious, sustainable, and resilient. You're hoping modern people will realize that choosing crops based solely on industrial efficiency created vulnerabilities that more diverse systems could avoid. You know you'll probably never replace potatoes. That ship sailed centuries ago. But you could be part of the solution to problems that industrial agriculture created. Climate change demands crops that use water efficiently and build soil health. You're both. Nutrition science reveals that diverse diets with complex carbohydrates support better health than processed foods. You provide that. Medieval farmers understood this. They grew you alongside grains, beans, herbs, and yes, after they arrived, potatoes too. They knew that diverse systems were stable systems, that different crops served different purposes, that having options meant surviving when individual crops failed. Modern agriculture forgot this wisdom in pursuit of maximum yield, but people are starting to remember. Climate change, soil degradation, and nutrition crises are forcing reconsideration of agricultural choices that seemed obviously correct just decades ago. You're not the only forgotten crop waiting for rediscovery. Together, these lost crops represent an entire alternative food system, one based on perennials instead of annuals, regional varieties instead of global monocultures, flavor and nutrition instead of pure yield. The knowledge to restore this system still exists, scattered through historical texts, maintained by dedicated seed savers, preserved in surviving plants. But knowledge without application becomes mere curiosity. Plants without cultivation become extinction. The window for recovery is closing but hasn't closed. Every year that passes without cultivation means more genetic diversity lost, more traditional knowledge forgotten. But every person who chooses to grow heritage varieties contributes to recovery. Every chef who explores historical cookbooks creates market demand. Every gardener who saves seeds builds the networks that kept you alive through centuries of neglect. You're not asking people to abandon modern conveniences. You're asking them to remember that efficiency without resilience isn't actually efficient. That optimization for single variables often sacrifices variables that matter more in the long term. Medieval people who grew you weren't backward or ignorant. They were managing complex agricultural systems with limited resources, and they chose crops that provided security, nutrition, and pleasure across multiple generations. These weren't irrational choices. They were sophisticated responses to real challenges that modern people face again. The story of your disappearance is the story of short-term thinking overriding long-term wisdom. The story of your potential recovery is the story of people choosing resilience over efficiency, diversity over simplicity, flavor over convenience. You're still here, still growing in the few gardens where people remember, still producing sweet, nutritious roots that taste like vanilla-kissed carrots, still ready to be part of food systems that work for centuries instead of decades. All you need is for people to remember that some old ways weren't backward, they were wise. That some forgotten foods weren't replaced by better options, they were abandoned for more convenient ones. The choice is still available, in every seed catalog that lists heritage varieties, in every garden where someone chooses to grow something unusual, in every kitchen where a chef experiments with historical recipes. You're skirret. You're sweet, sustainable, and ready for comeback. You're hoping someone will give you the chance to prove that some things lost are worth recovering. The table is set. The soil is ready. Time to come home.